Yo, what's up, all you burner stones and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs Weedman?
Mr. Weedman?
How the hell are you?
Good.
I love it. Hey, all you vipers out there in the world, hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal with a gift that was given to us that keeps on giving. I like to thank Miss Grass for throwing us some little doinky doinks that we like so much. And Mrs. Grass, this is Fast Times Mad Fruit. It's a sativa dominant fruit explosion, and it's terpene rich. The Mad Fruit strain is a cross of papaya berry runts and Moroccan peaches that run sativa dominant. The effects, highly cerebral, with a blissfully energetic body buzz and overall tranquil feeling, great for productivity and creative pursuits. It also helps quell stomach and digestive issues with immediate effect. Probably best for daytime use, but not hard to handle at night, especially if you have some looming work to do. The THC percentage on this that we're smoking is 26.96%. And I'll give you a little story about Miss Grass. Miss Grass is weed for the times. A woman-founded community-first cannabis brand. Miss Grass is on a mission to help the world get good at weed. They educate on the science, the history, and the culture, and work with trustworthy cultivators to provide high-quality products, all in the spirit of conscious consumption. I'd like to thank Miss Grass for throwing to the cause. I saw them at Flower Expo, nice. And they threw us two different joints. The other one is over there on the tray. It's the blue for indica dominant and mellow. We might finish this one and smoke that one.
It's tasty.
It's a fruit burst of flavor, which is you are
right up my alley.
Yeah, and you actually tasted it.
I taste it.
Pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
While I'm smoking, Miss Weedman is going to tell you a little about 8decades.com.
Yeah, we've got a lot of new listeners. So just to kind of fill you in on what we do and what we're all about, you can head over to our website, 8decades.com. That's 8 spelled out, EIGHT, decades.com. And so we started as Mr. Weedman's podcast. It was him, it was our son, some of the guys, and they were hanging out in the basement doing the podcast. And then the shutdown happened back in 2020, and everybody kind of dispersed. Some people moved. They all left Mr. Weedman.
Except for Shoddy, our producer. Yep. She's still with me.
Yep. So I joined in, and I've been here since, and we produce a show each week. Mr. Weedman also has a podcast called The Grow Hour. And on that show, he has conversations with a medical caregiver grower from Michigan, Big Earl. And he's into genetics and growing and all sorts of cool stuff and super knowledgeable about growing. And together they talk about growing.
And all things grow. Good breeders and growers on the show.
So if you head over to 8 Decades, you'll see that we also developed a product line. So after the podcast was going for some time, we thought we needed something more. We wanted to supplement the business and beef it up, and we started 8 Decades. So that is our cannabis lifestyle brand. So if you head over, you'll see our shop with all of our products. We've got hemp clothing, beautiful hemp clothing from Young Maven. We have a great steamroller pipe. If you listen to kind of our back episodes, the early episodes, we talk about that a lot. We've got storage jars that are imported mirror and violet glass and all sorts of great stuff. We also have swag for the Weedman 420 show.
Yes,
so
we do.
Check us out. You'll see more about us, more about the show, and more about what we care about and why we do what we're doing.
Yes. And if you, like I always say, if you support 8decades.com, you keep on making sure that we can produce a show every week. So we appreciate all of the people that support the show. We just had some people purchase some stuff. We appreciate you out there. Really, really, from the bottom of our hearts, we really do appreciate it. It does.
We hear every bit.
Yes, trust me. We try to answer everybody that we can on any comment. We try to do our best, and we try to show as much love as possible. And sometimes we might make a mistake here and there, but let you know what, nobody's perfect.
We're human.
Yes, and we do our best to bring you the news, to bring you education, to bring you science, health, political, state, and business news, a little international news, and culture. And I know sometimes political news can be tough, out there, and everyone's political views are different.
Well, I think the world is just in a weird state right now, and there's a lot of tensions in the world. So it may sound like when we're presenting the political news that we're taking a stance on things, but we're not. We're really just bringing you information that is unbiased and hopefully helpful so you can get a big picture about the culture of weed, what's happening in the politics of weed, what's happening in the industry of weed,
Yeah.
what's happening in the legacy grower, craft grow space, and beyond. And that's all. We're just presenting what we compile during the week. Mr. Weedman produces the show, and we're just trying to bring it to you in an approachable way and just share what we care about.
And sometimes we might make a mistake or two. We are part of the weed party. We know, if you've listened to prior episodes, I've told you on some prior episodes that I'm for the weed party. I'm for this party right here. I'm for what we smoke and what this plant was given to us for. So I just want to let you all know that I love you all out there, no matter who you are, what you are, human, mammal. I love you. And like I said, I'm not perfect and I make fucking mistakes. And I deeply apologize if I've ever offended anybody out there. That's not my intention. Right, Mrs. Weedman?
That's right.
I'm about to show love, respect, integrity, and just straight up just fucking love you all. Because you listen to us and you give me an opportunity to share what I learn every week.
And I also think that if you're taking the time to listen to us, cannabis holds a place in your life that is important. It holds a space, a big space, because people aren't listening. I know a lot of people, and there's not a lot of people that I personally know that will come listen to the show because cannabis may not be part of their persona. But for people who cannabis is more than just picking up a joint and smoking it socially, people who really care about it, they want more information. And that's where we come from.
Yes.
We're just normal people. We're not called the Mr. Weedman show because Mr. Weedman thinks he's the weed man. No, not at all. It's a humble approach to the fact that everybody has a Mr. Weedman. And so he's just
Mrs. Weedman.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. We know a lot of females in this space.
Yes.
So we're just coming from a place of, hey, we're just a few people. Not few. I mean, is there a third person? I don't think so.
Yuki.
Our dog, yeah. We're a couple who just cares about this plant, and we've been passionate about it for a long time.
And we care about you.
And we care about people. We really care. When we care about something, we want to share. We are talkers, and we love a soapbox, and we love to be able to share the real information. I've always been a realist.
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr.
Weedman likes to remind me of that.
Yeah.
I like facts. I think that we all have an opinion, and everybody's entitled to an opinion. And your opinion might not agree with my opinion. But at the end of the day, there's facts, right? And sometimes you have to see things in a bigger picture. And again, that's where we're coming from, just like the reality of things, and just trying to stomp the stigma around cannabis and educate people and be here as a space for people who want to be educated about cannabis. Again, we don't know everything. We're learning. I mean, if you really listen back, I started at episode 15, and I've been on every episode since. And if you listen back then, I was afraid to say that I get high because I thought it sounded like I'd be a drug addict. And I was really particular about the time of day that I smoked. And, I have evolved as the show has gone on.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago wasn't the first time I smoked in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
But you evolve as a human, right? And when there's something that you're interested in, that evolves with you.
Yep.
So, go back and listen to some old shows and compare and contrast.
Yeah.
And another thing for anyone who's a new listener, we always smoke at the start of the show in an effort to stomp the stigma. Because if we can continue doing this show completely baked, sometimes our reading might not be great.
Sometimes Mr. Weedman might screw up on some hard words.
Sometimes we might have coughing attacks. Sometimes we might be nose breathers because the strain makes us all stuffy.
Coughing attacks? I've only had one cough in 6 years of doing this show.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Weedman, I have not. I've had quite a few.
Only had one cough. Now I'm going to cough every show after this watch. But yes, I've only coughed once.
This show has been on the chronic health condition roller coaster ride with me. I got a diagnosis a couple of years ago, 3, 4, whatever it was. So you've heard a lot about my woes of bad health and how weed has played a part in that. And it's an
just
evolution.
weed.
It's just weed. It's just a show where we just talk about weed.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
and like I said, I'll say it again. If I ever offended anybody on the political side of things, I do deeply apologize. It was never meant to offend anybody. So just want to let you all know that. So I love you all out there. We are part of the weed party. So just so you know
we fly our weed flag.
That's it. So, but I love you all out there. So ready to get the show started?
I'm ready.
What if you
are
were
you ready?
shopping?
Uh-huh.
Right? What if you
Mhm.
were shopping and all of a sudden you were looking at your apples because you love your Honeycrisp?
Mhm.
That's like the most probably time you
yes.
spend in the produce section. You buy a lot of produce, but
Mhm.
that's the most spent at that
Finding
little
my
area.
perfect apples,
Finding your
which is
perfect
very hard at
apples.
this time of
Oh,
year.
yeah, because
believe it or not.
we need to get the freshness in.
We're at like the end of last year's
yeah,
apples.
Yeah, all the gas ones are just at the
Ugh.
bottom of the barrel.
Blech.
But what if you were shopping and you were like, looking at your apple, going, oh, this one looks good. Give it a little rub, make sure you got the shine on it, looking good. And you look over to your left, and there's a fucking bear
Whoa.
looking at the produce right next to you.
In the store.
In the store.
I
big
turn
old-
like, hey, Mr.
a
Weedman.
big
I'm like,
old-
whoa.
A big old bear.
It's a bear.
What would you do?
I don't know. Aren't you supposed to pretend like you're dead or just freeze? Just freeze?
Don't move.
Don't move.
I guess that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in Oro Valley, Arizona, a bear surprised shoppers at a southern Arizona grocery store to Fry's, and it was last Monday night, Monday night, and behind the store, and it entered the store, and no one saw it.
Oh my God.
And all of a sudden, it's walking through an aisle, just shopping.
Just hanging.
Hey, I'm Smokey
Terrorizing
the
the
bear.
aisle,
I'm
I'm
Smokey the
sure.
bear, just coming in, or I'm Yogi the bear,
Yeah.
whatever bear you're a fan of. Yogi, we grew up with Yogi the bear. Hey,
Hey,
boo
boo-boo.
And it just ran around a little bit, and it didn't do any damage,
What?
and just freaked some people out. Yeah, and there was a bear in the store.
I just saw a video of this old lady feeding her bear apples.
I showed you that.
was like-
no, it wasn't feeding apples. It
What
was
was she
feeding
feeding it?
fucking meat.
Was it meat?
Oh, it was meat.
I just couldn't get over the fact that
I'm
she's like,
hooked.
oh, my nice baby.
I'm hooked
and
on
she's shoving the food and her whole hand
And-
inside the bear's. Meanwhile, the bear's paw is like
And
up
it's
on
not
the railing.
AI.
No.
It's not.
And the bear's other paw is just on the railing next to her. And this paw was bigger than this woman's head. I was like, oh my God, all that bear has to do is be like,
The
oh, you
police-
look cute. You look cute, little
Give me
lady.
some more meat.
Give me more meat. And her head falls off. And she's just feeding
The police
this bear.
have come. The police have come multiple times now to try to stop her. She's like, this bear's been coming to my door, to my house for 9 seasons, she said.
She puts her hand in
The bear's mouth. I watched another video of her,
and the bear's
of her
like,
feeding.
nom, 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 nom.
So gentle.
It's so cute.
I watched
it's
the video
like-
last night of the bear,
Uh-huh.
and while she was feeding it, he was rubbing her shoulder,
You know, that.
petting her shoulder. No, it was so gentle. It was. I understand.
Oh, I know,
wild
but like
animal.
it could turn in
Of
a
course.
second. It could turn.
I want more meat.
What was it? Siegfried and Roy.
Oh, getting
Right?
eaten by
I
the
mean,
tiger.
yeah. All of his
So-
babies. Nice babies. I love you. He got his head like ripped off practically.
Oh man! So if you were shopping in Arizona at that Fry's,
Mm.
man,
I'd be like, I would pause in like a scared, screaming,
shit.
frozen action figure. Something like
I'd give
that.
it a picnic basket and watch it walk out the door.
I'd be like, apples?
Yeah, could just dump them and run.
Just dump them. Yeah, like give them a bunch of food.
Oh shit! I would have loved to have seen some people's faces on that. That'd have been crazy.
I don't
I'm
think
sure this-
I don't think you'd be thinking of anyone else's face. I think you would just be thinking.
No, I
about
want to see
what
like if
the
there was a
fuck should I
video
do right
caption
now?
of that. You know, the store has probably
Oh,
security
wouldn't that be
cameras.
fun?
I would love to see what people
The
did.
people.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, it'd be so funny.
I'd like to see the bear's face, like, like just, yeah.
Oh shit! All right, let's get the show started.
All right.
Effects of CBD, THC, and minor cannabinoids study for atopic dermatitis. Atopic.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. In this article, we're digging into some real science, the effects of CBD, THC, minor cannabinoids in treating atopic dermatitis, aka AD for the folks with itchy, dry, inflamed skin. So atopic dermatitis is the skin condition that's literal itch fest, lost skin barrier function, dryness, inflammation, that constant urge to scratch. The standard go-to treatments, especially topical glucocorticoids, do help, but long-term use can bring side effects. Enter cannabinoids. Could they be gentler, more natural helpers? That's what the recent review of this is to explore. What the review did. Researchers went through studies from 2020, 2024, and some earlier fundamental work across database like PubMed, Science Direct, Web Science, etc. They probed natural and synthetic cannabinoids in both clinical and preclinical settings. They also flagged that we don't have enough safety data or clinical experience yet. So what we see now is promising, not definitive. Key findings and cannabinoids in focus. Here's where it gets juicy. CBD and THC. These heavy hitters aren't just for the high. They've shown anti-inflammatory effects, antibacterial effects, activity, and antioxidant properties. In formulations, they've demonstrated activity against E. coli, S. aureus, and Panabacillius larvae. There's some minor cannabinoids, CBG, CBC. Don't ever sleep on these unless you got some CBN in there. They're showing anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and antioxidant properties in lab settings. For example, one study used a 2% CBD topical over several weeks in folks with AD. They tracked skin hydration, comfort, inflammation, and overall appearance, and participants saw improvements. Another case series used an ointment with 30% CBD, ointment, plus 5% CBG, plus supporting oils, applied nightly under wet wrap. Over 4 to 8 weeks, patients saw better hydration metrics and skin barrier parameters. So the evidence supports the idea that cannabinoids can help with comfort, reducing inflammation, and improving skin hydration in AD, especially as complementary treatments, not as full replacements, at least not yet. Caveats and challenges. We got to keep it real. The safety data is thin. We don't have huge long-term trials yet. Clinical experience is limited, so dosage, formulations, and delivery routes are still experimental. And the big one, regulation and legality. Cannabis laws vary widely across jurisdictions, and that legal patchwork is dragging research forward slower than we'd like. The authors strongly call for regulatory harmonization, countries aligning cannabis laws so research, industry, and medical practitioners can collaborate and move forward. So to sum it up, cannabinoids, CBD, THC, CBG, CBC, they're flexing. Like that, Mrs Weedman? Guns out. Some real skin healing potential, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antioxidant, and early studies in AD are lighting up promising results. But we're not at full-blown mainstream use yet. We need more safety trials, more clinical data, and legal pathways that let science breathe. If I were to light one joint off the thought at the end, these compounds could be the next-gen toolkit for skin health in the cannabis space. We got to keep grinding, though, on science, and policy. Side of policy.
Science.
You know it. Do you know anybody that's on Prozac?
I don't know. Most people don't talk about it.
Well, should people avoid it, though?
Yeah. Well,
or
we're
should
going
they
to talk
avoid weed
with
if
Prozac.
they're taking Prozac?
Yes.
Tell
Let's
us
talk
about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Let's talk about that. With moves toward decriminalizing recreational marijuana use, you might have stopped thinking twice about indulging. You might have stopped thinking, yeah, right. You might. I have read this before.
We're doing the show. You're not in your practice mode.
All right, Mr.
Start over. Reverse.
Yeah, right. Okay. With moves toward decriminalizing recreational marijuana use, you might have stopped thinking twice about indulging. But if you're taking Prozac or its generic fluoxetine, it is important to pause and consider the interactions that occur when mixing the two. As it turns out, the answer to, can you smoke weed on Prozac, is probably not. According to experts, people taking antidepressant medication should avoid cannabis products. So let's talk about why. The interaction between Prozac and marijuana involves several complex mechanisms, primarily affecting your central nervous system. Prozac falls into a category of antidepressants known as selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs. It's approved by the Food and Drug Administration to treat a variety of mental health related disorders, including major depressive disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, bulimia nervosa, and panic disorder. SSRIs, a category that includes prescription drugs like Celexa, Lexapro, and Zoloft, those are the name brands, increase available levels of neurotransmitters called serotonin. They do this by preventing the reuptake of any serotonin that's left over and floating around in your brain. This helps to keep mood normal and it reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety. The marijuana plant contains chemical compounds called cannabinoids, which interact with your body's endocannabinoid system. This is the system involved in regulating various physiological processes such as mood, appetite, and pain sensation. Like other neurotransmitters, cannabinoids have receptors in your brain, which are dedicated areas where these compounds can latch on and cause effects. This includes the psychoactive effects of THC, the psychoactive compound in marijuana responsible for the feelings of altered perception, euphoria, relaxation, and heightened sensory experiences. Due to these possible effects from marijuana, the drug has been used to help treat chronic pain, anxiety, sleep issues, and inflammation. While mixing these two compounds won't cause a catastrophic chemical explosion in your brain, using them together isn't a good idea. The interaction between Prozac and marijuana is complex and influenced by various factors. Both substances affect your central nervous system, but in different ways. Prozac increases serotonin levels to improve mood and reduce anxiety. Meanwhile, marijuana, particularly its psychoactive component THC, interacts with the endocannabinoid system, influencing mood, perception, and cognition. Combined use of Prozac and weed can lead to enhanced sedation, unpredictable mood changes, and potential health risks like serotonin syndrome. Over time, your brain can behave as if it's taking an increased dosage of SSRIs, even though your dose has stayed the same, making the combined use of Prozac and marijuana potentially risky. There are documented studies that date back to the 90s describing the effects of using the Prozac and weed together. One report discussed increased heart rate and impaired thinking among adolescent boys. And another reviews a manic episode, just one, manic episode triggered by the combination. I'm not trying to diminish it, but I'm also pointing out that there's not like gobs of studies of this happening. So this is like a conversation, to have with your doctor and whatever. While some people might not experience significant issues, the potential interaction can warrant careful consideration and medical guidance. There are potential effects to consider, like the fact that both Prozac and weed have an impact on your central nervous system. When used together, the two substances can worsen depression and cause increased sedation, drowsiness, and impaired coordination. This can heighten the risk of accidents, especially when driving or operating machinery. You could experience unpredictable mood and brain changes. While Prozac is used to stabilize mood by regulating serotonin, marijuana's effects on mood can cause a whole range of emotions, including euphoria, relaxation, anxiety, or even panic attacks. Weed could also reduce how well Prozac works by interfering with how it's metabolized in the body. In some cases, the interaction could make anxiety disorders or paranoia worse, particularly with high THC strains of marijuana. According to the National Library of Medicine, cannabinoids can make mood disorders worse. Further, it states that marijuana may not be advisable for those with mood disorders and psychotic disorders like schizophrenia. Mania is another potential side effect. Recent studies have shown that cannabis use has increased, that as cannabis use has increased, so have cases of mania. While this doesn't necessarily show cause and effect, it does suggest a correlation. So let's talk about the potential for serotonin syndrome. It's a serious concern when combining Prozac and marijuana. This condition occurs when there are excess levels of serotonin in the brain, and it can lead to symptoms like agitation, confusion, rapid heartbeat, high blood pressure, muscle rigidity, and fever. Though rare, serotonin syndrome can be life threatening and it requires immediate medical attention. The risk of this, while low, underscores the importance of medical supervision when using these substances together. Another reason not to mix Prozac and weed is that marijuana can affect the metabolism of Prozac. The CBD contained in marijuana inhibits certain liver enzymes called CYP450 enzymes, which are responsible for metabolizing many drugs. This can lead to higher levels of Prozac in your bloodstream, increasing the risk of Prozac side effects like nausea, dizziness, and insomnia. So the big question that looms overhead is, should I avoid weed if I'm on Prozac? While the combination of Prozac and marijuana isn't inherently dangerous for everyone, it carries significant risks that shouldn't be ignored. Cannabinoids can exacerbate depressive disorders and anxiety, and cannabis is a big red flag for people living with schizophrenia. Further, using Prozac and weed in tandem at regular intervals may cause your body to accumulate SSRIs like Prozac, which could lead to issues down the road. Still, though, it's not necessarily a hard no, particularly if your individual mental health care needs are being effectively met by Prozac and you feel your cannabis use has a positive effect on your mental health. After all, studies suggest that marijuana can help alleviate symptoms of anxiety and depression in some cases. On the surface, Prozac and marijuana may not seem like risky drugs, given their widespread use and efficacy for various health-related needs. But put them together, and studies suggest this can be risky. As we always suggest, it's always best to talk to your healthcare provider for any medical advice and be upfront about any substance use so they can better guide you.
That was a good article. Just
Yeah.
for information for
Mhm.
anybody that didn't know. That,
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean,
yeah, I didn't know that
I
at all
didn't
either.
really know. Yeah.
No, that's why I thought it was important to talk about. If anybody has ever experienced it
Mhm.
or uses Prozac and is thinking about using weed at the same time,
Yep.
So now you know, right? ESOPs could be cannabis industry's most powerful equity tool. I worked for a cannabis company, and about 5 years ago, and they were an ESOP, and I still own shares today.
Mhm.
Because when I left, that you got to keep your shares. It's something special. There's a bunch of breweries that I knew I didn't work for. New Belgium, give you a perfect example,
Mhm.
was an ESOP.
Mhm.
I knew somebody that worked for them for 20 years, and when they sold, she earned almost $300,000.
Oh, wow.
Pretty good
Yeah.
for 20 years,
Yeah.
I think ESOPs are important if you can afford to do it. But let's talk about it. ESOPs in the cannabis world, how employee stock ownership could change the game for equity ownership and legacy in our space. Let's spark this one up. We always talk about social equity in cannabis, right? Inclusion, reparations, lifting up folks left behind by the war on drugs. But too often, those ideals stay in the mission statements, not built in the business models. That's where ESOPs, employee stock ownership plans, come in as a real tool to move from rhetoric to real ownership. What are ESOPs and why they matter here? An ESOP lets employees gain ownership without paying a dime up front. Over time, the more you work, the more shares you earn, simply for being on the team. In the cannabis world, this can mean bud tenders, trimmers, managers all get material stake in the business they help build. No investment required, just dedication, hard work, discipline, and tenure. For founders, ESOPs open the doors to tax advantages and deferral in certain sales structures, succession planning without needing to check out. Founders can stay in leadership even while employees own the biz. And in 100% ESOP owned companies, they can become exempt from federal and state income taxes, though the 280E still looms, but less directly. Proof of performance, what research is showing. The love for ESOPs isn't just a theory. Studies back it up. Companies using ESOPs see productivity gains of 4 to 5% per year. Turnover drops dramatically. ESOP firms average 10.8% turnover, whereas conventional businesses often see a 27.1%. Big difference. That's a big deal in cannabis where staff burnout and churn are real. Giving employees some skin in the game helps change the mindset from just a job to this is my business too. Equity, justice, and repairing the past. The whole reason social equity is in these conversations is because of past harm. Communities devastated by prohibition, arrest, economic exclusion. An ESOP setup gives the real path to ownership for folks historically shut out. Instead of just giving equity licenses or special permits, ESOPs embedded shared prosperity right into the corporate structure. It's powerful, but it's not a cure-all. It's not a cure-all. It's one too among many. Whoops. So, got some hurdles and we got some questions. Structural complexity. ESOPs aren't simply setting them up properly, ensuring legal compliance, handling share valuations, etc. Okay? Regulatory and tax weeds. Even though ESOPs can unlock tax advantages, cannabis is tangled by the 280E and shifting laws. We need to get that fixed. Cultural and trust. Ownership means employees need transparency, communication, and education on what it all means. When I got my ESOP, they said we got to go individually and sit down with their accounting team and their finance team, and they went through every page of the process and if we wanted to participate or not.
Oh, neat.
So we got to understand, and then we got quarterly letters about the ESOP, quarterly meetings, and then the final, we got the full profitability report of the year with all the graphs and charts, and you could see where we were at state by state, how we did as a company. I mean, it's pretty special. So here's what I'm rolling out. ESOPs are the next level equity tool for the industry. They're a bridge between the dream of inclusion and the real work of restructuring who holds the wealth and leverage. For employees, they're more than a paycheck, they're a stake. For founders, they're a path to legacy and exit without abandonment. For the movement, they reinforce that cannabis isn't just about profit, it's about justice, repair, and shared prosperity. If we're serious about equity that lasts, ESOPs deserve a spotlight in how we build businesses. And, even here's the other thing. If a company can't afford to do the ESOP in the beginning, maybe do an employee where they can pay into the company and earn it that way. Like $10 a month for the first 5 years to help the company get off the ground, and then they get to share in the ESOP and profit sharing also. Like we'll take $10 out of your paycheck. Say they have 500 employees throughout the country. It's a big company. Let's say they have grows throughout the country, dispos, MSOs, and vertically integrated companies. And let's just say that, hey, we need help getting into more states. So here's what we offer you. We're going to need 500 people to want to put into this program. You each put this much in your paycheck for a full year. This is where the money will go. And then you earn profit sharing quarterly that way too. Instead of being just an ESOP, you're investing. Now you're an investor. And those employees will work for that fucking company forever. And make sure that company will succeed because it's part of theirs and they earn shares, just like an ESOP, different way of doing things, because there is no bank. There is bank help. Investor money's drying up. The economy, who the fuck knows? You told me that at a young age in my 20s. If I got to work in cannabis in my 20s and someone said, hey, listen, Boot, we're going to pay you. We want you to invest, be an investor in this company. You're an employee. We're going to take this much out of your paycheck a month. You'll see it on your line. Whether it be $50, $100, and you get a shares for how much money you put in monthly. And this is what you're going to, in 5 years, this is how many shares you'll have. And this is how much you'll have 3% or 5% invested in this company. And you'll get dividends. And then when we sell, depending how many shares you have, you'll get a kickback at the end too.
Pretty sweet.
Sometimes my ideas are okay, right, Mr. Weedman? I wouldn't say always, but sometimes. All right, so I'm bald, as you all can see. If you watch me on YouTube, I have no hair. I haven't had hair in a very, very long time. I was bald when I met Mrs Weedman.
No, you had a little
It's
bit.
stubby. Yes,
Little.
I did, but I've shaved it. I didn't start. I shaved it
Yes.
back then, but I had a little stubble. But can weed lead to hair loss? Is this weed's fault that I'm bald?
I'm going to tell you all about it.
Tell us about what the research shows, Ms. Weedman.
When you think about weed's effects, things like mood changes, altered senses, or even health benefits, they might come to mind, right? Those things might come to mind. But could marijuana actually cause hair loss? The research is limited, but there might be a connection between smoking weed, particularly, and hair loss. We're going to break down what science has to say, what could really be going on with your hair, and what you can do about hair loss. So, can weed really cause hair loss? Well, the short answer is not really. There's no solid scientific evidence that cannabis directly causes hair loss. But before you light up or pop an edible, there are a few things to consider. While weed isn't likely to make your hair fall out on its own, it can indirectly affect your hair through things like diet, stress, and hormones, all of which play a role in hair growth. Appetite changes? Let's talk about the munchies. THC, the psychoactive compound in marijuana, can get you high, and that can mess with your appetite. If you're swapping balanced meals for nutrient-poor snacks, you might miss out on key hair-friendly nutrients like protein, iron, vitamin D, and biotin. Your hair needs these to grow strong and healthy, and a deficiency can weaken hair follicles and lead to increased shedding over time. How about your hair growth cycle? I don't know. Did you know that your hair isn't always growing?
I don't know anymore.
It's
Sorry.
been a minute. The hairs on your head go through phases of the hair growth cycle at different rates. The rest phase is when hair sheds to make room for new hair. Stress, hormone imbalances, and health changes can push more hairs into the shedding phase. This type of hair loss is called telogen effluvium. Telogen effluvium.
Say that 3 times real
Yeah,
fast.
right? Some studies suggest cannabis may affect the endocrine system, which regulates hormones like cortisol and testosterone. In theory, this could impact the hair growth cycle. And there's smoking, right? We're talking about weed and your scalp. So how does smoking affect it? Well, smoking anything, including weed, releases toxins that can cause oxidative stress. This can damage hair follicles and the hair shaft itself over time, making hair more brittle and prone to breakage. So how about edibles? Well, THC can bind to CB1 receptors in your hair follicles, possibly interrupting the hair growth cycle and causing early shedding. Edibles, which often contain higher THC concentrations, might have a stronger impact on hair growth than smoking. But the science is not fully clear yet.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. On the flip side, CBD, another prominent compound in cannabis, might do the opposite. It can block those same receptors and may even help promote hair growth. Most cannabis products contain both THC and CBD, but it is still not completely clear how they interact to affect hair growth. So, how would you know if hair loss is actually from marijuana? This is where things get tricky. Hair loss can have many different root causes: genetics, hormone changes, stress, diet, and more. While research suggests marijuana isn't a direct cause of hair loss, it might play an indirect role. Smoking can affect your body in ways that contribute to shedding, but it's rarely the only factor at play. Noticing thinning, excessive shedding, or a reduced hairline? Well, then ask yourself, have I started or increased my marijuana use lately? Am I under more stress? Am I sleeping less? Am I eating differently? Or do I have family history of hair loss? A healthcare professional is the only person who can confirm the root cause of hair loss and whether weed has anything to do with it, and they can recommend the best path forward. They could recommend lifestyle changes like cutting back on marijuana use. They could also provide hair loss treatment options. While no product can reverse marijuana-related hair loss overnight, the following science-backed treatments can help support overall hair health, regardless of what's going on and causing your shedding. There's minoxidil, which is an over-the-counter topical that stimulates blood flow to the hair follicles. There's finasteride, a prescription medication that blocks DHT, a hormone linked to thinning hair in men. And you could take multivitamins that contain biotin and other nutrients that could give you what you're missing, in your vitamin intake for healthy hair growth. If your hair loss is caused by smoking-related stress on your body, quitting could help. And if your hair might start growing back within a few weeks to months, and your hair might start growing. I'm doing really good here. And your hair might start growing
Thanks, Miss
back.
Grass.
Yeah, within a few weeks to months. But if your hair loss is due to something more permanent, like androgenetic alopecia or male pattern baldness, quitting smoking likely won't bring the hair back. Sorry. Well, that's really actually a good thing because you look good bald
Thanks.
and you could still smoke weed. Hey, it's a win-win.
I believe it was cigarettes, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, hair loss is frustrating, and it's normal to want answers. Or you can just climb on board the smooth skull bus, like Mr. Weedman. And if you're there, pass the blunt my way.
Got it. Got it. Won't you light that joint up before
All
we
right.
start
Yeah,
state
because we need more so we
political
could read
state
better.
business news? Well, by the time you go, you'll be all right.
All right.
So political state and business news, everybody. All right. Michigan.
Yeah,
Michigan.
so bad.
What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? I am the Senate. You done fucked up. So, you ready? The Michigan legislature narrowly passed a new state budget, 19-7, on October 3rd, which includes a new 24% tax on wholesale cannabis intended to support road construction and repairs. The contentious new budget comes as Michigan faces a possible state government shutdown. State operators who already contend with statewide oversupply and depressed prices rallied against the tax last week to no avail. I watched all the videos. I should have went out to the state capitol and wore the Weedman costume.
You should have,
We
Mr.
should have went out
Weedman.
there.
What are you waiting for?
What they are saying, the specific tax increase to help fund roads is determined to many small businesses in the district that represent and across the state. They should be seeking to grow independent businesses in Michigan, not destroy them, Republican Representative Tim Basin said. And also, levying a new 24% wholesale tax on Michigan cannabis industry undermines the significant progress made in one of the nation's strongest cannabis markets. The industry has delivered 47,000 plus jobs, increased consumer safety, and generated reliable tax revenue for the state. This new tax revenue, and may actually lead to less tax revenue collection due to fewer legal sales and an uptick in illicit market transactions, said Rodney Holcomb, VP for Public Policy at LeafLink. The average price of flower in the state is $82.72 per ounce, according to Michigan Cannabis Regulatory Agency reporting covering the month of August. Consumers in Michigan already have to pay a 10% excise tax and a 6% sales tax on cannabis. This new tax applies to wholesale operators, which will likely trickle down to consumers. I don't know how you're going to go back up in price.
Yeah.
A financial analysis of the bill by the Senate fiscal agency suggests that the new tax could generate an additional $427 million in annual revenue. The estimate includes an assumption that the new tax will cause a 14.4% drop in consumption. Go back to your local growers, everybody. Look up my homie, Big Earl. That's a big number. Michigan, you lawmakers, you really done fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I digress. Burners on Hyatt was supposed to be San Francisco's crown jewel of cannabis equity, prime location, cookies branding, political backing, but by 2024 it collapsed under oversaturation, high taxes, illicit competition, and contract conflicts. An arbitrator forced Cookies to pay $8.4 million to its former partner. In Illinois, a former Curaleaf compliance director filed a suit claiming systemic diversion, massive amounts of cannabis missing from the Litchfield Cultivation Center. Also flagged unlicensed pesticide use, safety violations, and that leadership ignored repeated warnings.
Hmm.
He says he was fired for speaking up. That's some green drama there, Ms. Weedman.
That is.
The FDA just upgraded its MedWatch forms to include cannabinoid hemp product like CBD. Now, doctors, consumers, and companies can officially report adverse reactions tied to hemp compounds. With approval from the White House, this signals more federal eyes on safety in the green world. Buckle up, oversight's coming. Turns out Americans see marijuana during pregnancy as less risky than booze or cigs. Only 66% call it high risk versus 94% for cigs and 96% for alcohol. So yeah, the prescription game's shifting, but risk doesn't always bend to what feels safer. A major alcohol trade group, Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America, just took its first THC beverage company member, Cannabis, a Kentucky brand. They're hopping in to help build rules on labeling, potency, age gates, and legit retail practices. Green meets the booze biz. Things are getting spicy. Colorado's cannabis scene is getting shaky. 465 dispensaries have sold cannabis later recalled in 2025, a state record. Major recalls hit 172 stores over fungus, mold, and pesticide issues. With prices crashing, some players might be cutting corners. California just hit the brakes. The cannabis excise tax hike to 19% is paused, staying at 15% until at least 2028. How about don't raise it at all? How about lower it to 10% and keep it there forever? Governor Newsom signed AB 564 to roll it back, aiming to let the legal market breathe. Legal businesses take that as a lifeline. Kansas law enforces hit 10 shops across the cities in a brazen crackdown on illegal weed and THC sales. Officials flag teen health risk tied to ultra-potent THC, 75 to 95%. They're talking vapes. And say many as these sellers are straight-up weed dealers in strip malls. Legal enforcement is now turning savage. Northwest Arkansas is turning it up November 7th through the 8th in Fayetteville with the NWA Cannabis and Wellness Expo. Panels, vendors, doctors on site, and $50 patient certification drive. Admissions is $10 a day or $20 for a weekend. No medical card needed. Just to walk in, come vibe, learn, and elevate your cannabis game. Right, Ms. Weedman?
That's right.
I'm passing the joint over to you.
I've got more political, state, and business news. Well, the feds just slapped the word deadly on marijuana, warning that even medical cannabis brings serious consequences. They're lumping pot with nothing less but fentanyl, meth, and heroin in seizure stats. Because, it's so similar. Even though cannabis alone has never caused a fatal overdose.
Oh, my God.
Someday they'll actually hear that fact. Oregon. Where did it go? Oregon. I have to say that every time I say it. The governor, the attorney general, and cannabis regulators just begged the Ninth Circuit Court to reverse a judge's block on Measure 119, a voter-approved law mandating labor peace agreements and employer neutrality in cannabis shops. That ruling says the law violates free speech and clashes with the National Labor Relations Act. Back in Oregon again, with wholesaler Jefferson Packing House. They just filed a new federal lawsuit arguing that state bans on interstate cannabis and hemp trade violate the Dormant Commerce Clause. They say Oregon's rules raise costs, restrict markets, and discriminate against interstate commerce. If they win, state lines for green goods might finally fade. Woo-hoo. Oklahoma. I've got like cotton mouth.
Take a sip.
I know it's like my lips are like.
I just read about a new product too. A new product that helps with cotton mouth. It's like little flavored minty things.
I know those. Yes, they like make you produce saliva.
Yes, I forgot.
Yes, they're cool.
I forgot what they were called.
It dissolves and it makes your like mouth water.
Yes, I found it. I saved it.
It little melts.
Yes, go ahead, finish, and I'll find it.
Oklahoma's narcotic agents raided a grow under suspicion of straw ownership. I had to look that up. Straw ownership is when there's a legal owner on paper, but the real owner controls the assets and receives its benefits. So, Oklahoma narcotics agents raided a grow under suspicion of that, seizing 577 pounds of processed cannabis and 18,644 plants from New Good Harvest 999 LLC.
No.
2 suspects were arrested and ICE got involved. This is what happens when legal covers get twisted into cover-ups. The shady grows get smoked out.
Dr. Buzzkills.
Oh,
That's what they're called.
cool.
Dr.
That's not the name I was
Buzzkills,
thinking.
cottonmouth killers take the dry out of your high. Yeah.
Gotta get some. North Carolina officials are sounding alarms. THC-infused treats disguised like candy and cookies, called Stonio, are packaged in Oreo-style wrappers, and they are popping up ahead of Halloween. They've seized $750,000 worth of the edibles using deceptive branding to lure kids. So parents, keep your eyes peeled this Halloween season. We're not checking for razors and
oh my God!
and
For all you that know,
now we're checking for cannabis edibles in your kid's Halloween bag.
When we were growing up in the 70s and 80s, parents would have it'd come out in the news. There'd be razors and like people would give
and
apples
with a razor in
Yeah,
it.
back then, like you got.
We'd always throw them in the bush.
You got
when we'd walk
popcorn
away.
in the bag.
Yep,
the
you
people
throw
would
that
make,
in the tree.
Right, but you would get an
It
apple
was a
here and there.
popcorn ball.
Yeah, popcorn ball, but it was wrapped.
It wasn't
in a
even
bag.
wrapped.
Mine
No,
were
sometimes they
wrapped.
weren't.
We got that from neighbors we knew.
Right.
You know, but there was a fucked up time where there was fuck up people in the head were putting razors and apples, and kids didn't know and would take a bite of the apple that they got out of their Halloween bag
and slashing
and
open their
slice
mouth.
their mouth open and shit. That was fucked up. I remember that, man. Parents would like check our
Who
candy
gave
and
out
shit.
apples anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a problem in itself. All right. Punky QB, Jim McMahon. Why is he a punky QB?
Because he was a punk.
Punk.
He was a punk quarterback.
Punk.
He played for one of the best teams ever, but he was a punk.
Well, he told Trump, drop cannabis, Trump, from Schedule 1. It ain't heroin. Go for it, Jim. He says that cannabis helped him heal physically and mentally after the NFL, and it's time for federal law to catch up. Washington's gridlock just shoved cannabis reform off the main stage. Trump's promise to reschedule pot from Schedule 1 to 3 is now on hold. The government shutdown is freezing DEA and FDA reviews, delaying safe banking, and spooking investors. Meanwhile, the industry's waiting, and the clock is ticking. Oh, wonderful Gavin Newsom, that governor of California. He is saying with the D.C. shutdown, he's now the leader of the free world, and he'll legalize cannabis and get people high on patriotism. All right, dude. Slow your roll. His post-dripping satire drops in universal health care, free eggs, and a promise of legal weed for all.
His
All
troll
right,
game has been on point lately, though.
Yeah.
It has
Just
been.
egging him on.
It's just
egging him on.
Just been on. I don't know who's doing it for him, but
Right.
it's been on point. It's been pretty funny. I mean, I laugh at all this bullshit.
Right.
It's all bullshit.
It's all just bullshit.
So,
Yeah. 7 Ohio cannabis businesses sued regulators September 17th, saying product and ad rules are too strict and conflict with the voter-approved legalization law. They can't use Merry Christmas, holiday promos, or strain names like Strawberry Shortcake under current regs. They say regulators keep moving the goalposts. A Saginaw mom is in court after being charged with giving her children THC gummies. That's not a good idea. Now she's lobbying a judge for visitation rights. Well, that sucks for them. She's filed motions to see her kids again amid serious child abuse accusations. This is real life and heavy consequences for consumers, and the law is watching every move.
That's true.
Yeah. In Portland, Jason Steiner, a dispensary worker, is on trial for murder. Well, Jason. After he shot and killed 2 men during an alleged robbery at La Moda dispensary last October 3rd. He claims self-defense, but the DEA argues he wasn't in danger when he opened fire. Well, we all know that dispensaries have like 500 cameras, so I think there's plenty of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's just my opinion. That's all. A Florida appeals court just said cops can't search your car just because they smell weed. With legalization of hemp and medical cannabis, the plain smell rule no longer cuts it. Odor's still a factor, but it's got to be part of a bigger case, not the whole case. And back to California, they just leveled the playing field. Assembly Bill 8 puts hemp derived intoxicants and marijuana under one unified regulatory framework. That really sucks for the hemp people. Um, what is it? Wow, that's going to be really confusing, isn't it?
Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
No more loopholes for synthetic cannabinoids or inhalable hemp flooding the streets. Intoxicating hemp has the same rules, dispensary distribution only, and it requires people to be 21 for access. That's a big move for clarity and consumer protection. Mr. Weedman, back to you.
To me. Illinois Department of Agriculture, the IDOA, wants a new plant monitoring system. Every grower, infuser, processor must log every cannabis movement. Oh, God, just more red tape. Tagged plants, locked facilities, manifest for transfers. Nothing escapes the registry. They're also extending regulation to community colleges, cannabis programs, and cutting some application fees. Big compliance flex incoming. American hoopster Jared Shaw is in hot water. Arrested in Indonesia for importing 132 THC gummies he says he uses for Crohn's disease. He could face life behind bars or even the death sentence under Indonesia's draconian drug laws. Basketball stakes just went global and tragic. China's black market weed game is creeping into Michigan. Bust in Lake and Lasco counties revealed thousands of illegal plants tied to overseas networks. Officials say foreign cartels are hooking into U.S. growers, pushing illicit supply across state lines. This ain't your grandma's pot trade. Looks like the green front just went global. Tennessee just handed its alcohol wholesalers control over hemp distribution under a new law mirroring the three-tier liquor system. Out-of-state hemp suppliers will be forced to deal through in-state wholesalers. No more direct ship to consumers. Kentucky's Cornbread Hemp is suing, claiming this law discriminates against out-of-state competition. At Ohio's 2025 Health Business Summit, pre-rolls grabbed the spotlight. Education tracks fired up new pros, and industry optimism vibed strong. Regulation debates patients' access and tech solution bubbled in rooms and hallways. The message? Ohio's not just playing catch-up. It's trying to lead the Midwest green game. Green wave. I will tell you this, though. They're trying to change some laws right now in our state, too, though. If you want to lead the Midwest in the green wave, tell your government to stay out of it. Because they just fuck it up. Kentucky just harvested its first medical marijuana crop. Patients might see it by November. Governor Bashar says this is just the beginning. Licensed cultivators will grow a whole lot more. A new facility is set to expand as 25,000 square foot and boast supply across the state. New Hampshire lawmakers move forward a bill letting medical marijuana dispensaries convert from nonprofit to for-profit status. Supporters say this helps lower cost and fix nonprofit ineligibility problems. Unanimous subcommittee approvals 9-0, shows bipartisan momentum. Patients watching this could reshape how the granite state does green. Nebraska Senator John Kavanaugh just dropped a formal blow. He's challenging cannabis rules he says override what voters approve for. He targets restrictions on product types, limits on ingestion methods, and physician eligibility rules. He says regulators are rewriting the law behind closed doors. Time to let democracy blaze. Check this. Even in cannabis, hiring on paper just won't cut it. According to Green State, behavior beats buzzwords every time. Resume fluff, keyword bingo. Pretty, but what really tells the story is how someone's performed under pressure. How they fixed real problems, how consistent they are. So next time you interview, ditch generic strengths and weaknesses. Ask about the moment they handled compliance screw-ups or saved a day when the harvest got tight. That's where the gold is. Good news, bad news. Now, this is across the country. Cannabis sales slid 4.3% September across 15 U.S. markets. I will tell you this. September was fucking brutal in the cannabis industry. Brutal. I know things. I smoke and I know things. And that's one thing I do know. That's a big dip. Through a yearly basis, the total still clocks, though, at $2.6 billion, up 7.1%. The culprit, a mix of oversupply, price compression, and heating competition from illicit markets. I'm also going to say that people are kind of like pinching pennies a little bit right now. Mrs. Weedman, you just went to the grocery store.
I mean, every time I go to the grocery store lately, I'm just blown away.
So I think people are buying groceries before they buy
Yeah.
weed
Yeah.
and other things right
Or
now.
they're just making their stuff stretch a little longer.
A lot longer.
Yeah.
You know, some states are bleeding, others holding or growing. New York's adult use rollout gave a big lift. Heads up, this isn't collapse, but of course correction. Stay nimble, stay creative, and let's ride the market like smoke through the wind. But hold on a second. So let me tell you about some of the numbers here in some of the states. We got some time. Arizona did 86.7 million. Their growth was minus 2.5%. Their annual growth for the year is minus 7.9%. California, 389. Their growth for the month was minus 3.8. Their annual growth, though, is up 3.1%. Colorado, 108 million, minus 4.8%. And monthly growth, annual growth, though, minus 3.6%. They're down. Nevada, 64 million. Their growth for the month was minus 5.9%. Their growth, though, for the year is 5.2%. Oregon, flat across the board. 78.3 million. Their growth was minus 2.7%. For the annual growth, though, is 0.3%, minus 3%. Big one, Florida, still doing well. The growth for the month was flat. Annual growth is 0.1%. Illinois, flat for the month of September. The annual growth, though, right now for Illinois is minus 2.6%. They did 154 million in August. I'm sorry, September. Maryland, 91 million, down 10% for the month. It's Maryland. A lot of people go there for vacation too, minus 3% annual growth though. New state too, in their year 2 of and already down. Massachusetts, 151 million, minus 1.9%, but they're up 4.2% for the year. Missouri, down 10% for the month, but they're only down 0.8% for the year. Jersey, minus 3%, down 4.9% for the year. New York, down for the month, but up still 945%. New market, first year, can't count it. Ohio, down for the month, up for the year. And Pennsylvania, which is only medical, down for the month, up for the year. So that's some numbers across the state, across the country here, September was brutal. Beautiful weather here in Illinois, but boy, oh boy, was it a rough month for everybody. I hear it across the board, talk to a lot of people in the industry. It was a rough month.
Yeah.
For most. Not all, but for most. Ms. Weedman.
Yep.
Is cannabis the third party, the weed party as I'm calling it, America's been waiting for?
Let's talk about it.
Because last week, Reginald Reefers put spot on.
Yeah.
This one here, too, is
another perspective on
high
that.
times.
Yep.
Let's get high.
For decades, American politics have been in a stale headlock between Democrats and Republicans. Red versus blue, left versus right. The duopoly is so ingrained that most voters can't even imagine a third way forward. But cannabis is doing what no polished debate stage or billion-dollar super PAC could. It's cracking the two-party armor wide open. In red states, voters choose legalization when their politicians won't. In blue states, activists push past timid Democrats to demand equity and justice. And in between, the independents, the libertarians, the Greens, cannabis is the rare issue where everyone can share a joint, literally and figuratively. The plant is forcing the conversation that politics has avoided for too long. If weed can unite us, why are the old parties still dividing us? Let's get real. Cannabis is more popular than either major party. A recent Gallup poll found that 70% of U.S. adults support legalization, including a majority of Republicans. Yet Congress, trapped in the duopoly, can't even agree to deschedule a plant more benign than alcohol. So people take it in their own hands. In Missouri, voters approved Amendment 3 in 2022, legalizing recreational cannabis despite Republican resistance. In South Dakota, voters passed both medical and recreational cannabis initiatives in a state long dominated by conservative leadership. In Montana, a ballot measure in 2020 legalized recreational weed with nearly 57% support, again, over Republican objections. And in New York, The 2021 Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act came with strong social and economic equity provisions, driven by grassroots activists who refused to let Democrats water it down. Cannabis is teaching Americans a truth they already know deep down. Power doesn't just flow from Washington down. Sometimes it grows from the ground up, literally. I come to this not as a polished pundit, but as someone who's hustled in the gig economy, washed dishes in restaurants, moved furniture, worked on carnivals, and now works in cannabis media. I've seen every layer of American labor, from minimum wage to self-employment. What ties it all together is the sense that the system wasn't built for us. The cannabis economy is one of the last bastions of true entrepreneurship. Legacy growers, underground innovators, and small brands carved out a cultural long before Wall Street suits wanted a slice. In that culture, I found not just a paycheck, but a purpose. Cannabis taught me that work could mean something bigger than survival. It meant it could mean resistance. What was I reading? It could mean resistance, community, and even joy. Here's the thing about the two-party system. It was never designed to hold space for cannabis. Democrats want to study it more. Republicans want to protect kids while cashing checks from big pharma and big booze, and neither side telling the truth. Because the truth is, cannabis threatens their entire business model. The plant is democratic in the purest sense. It grows anywhere. It belongs to everyone. You can't patent it, hoard it, or gatekeep it in the way you can oil or weapon contracts. Cannabis resists centralization and terrifies the political machine built on control. That's why legalization at the federal level has dragged on for decades, despite overwhelming public support for the plant. To fully legalize cannabis is to admit that the people were right all along, and that both parties built a war on drugs that was racist, destructive, and wrong. That's a reckoning that's bigger than they can handle. Here's what I've learned covering the industry and culture. Cannabis builds bridges that politicians burn. I've smoked with libertarians who see weed as freedom, progressives who see it as justice, veterans who see it as medicine, and conservatives who see it as a better crop than tobacco. Cannabis is the one place where ideological purity dissolves. When you pass a joint, you're not asking who someone voted for. You're asking, do you feel this too? That shared feeling is political gold, the kind that can't be faked in ads or sold in donor diners. In donor dinners. Yeah, donor dinners. If cannabis can bring together people who disagree on everything else, then maybe it's the issue that proves a third party isn't just possible, but necessary. Legalization isn't the end of the story. In fact, it's just the beginning. Cannabis exposes the failures of mass incarceration, the racial wealth gap, and the predatory greed of corporations trying to steal a culture they didn't build. That's why cannabis-driven political awakenings must go deeper, acknowledging equity by making sure communities most harmed by prohibition actually benefit from legalization. Justice by expunging records and ending the war on drugs entirely. Economy by using cannabis not just as a cash cow for state budgets, but as a pillar of sustainable farming, hemp-based industry, and green jobs. The duopoly can't handle that conversation, though. They want tax revenue without accountability, but cannabis culture won't let them off that easy. Every empire falls the same way, not with one big collapse, but with cracks that spread until the whole thing can't hold. And cannabis is that crack in America's duopoly. It shows that people can outvote their politicians. It proves that consensus can exist outside the red-blue binary. And it plants the seed, literally, of a new kind of politics. I don't believe cannabis alone will topple the two-party system, but I do believe it will be remembered as the issue that started the break. When future historians look back at the 2020s, they won't see just culture wars and gridlock. They'll see a plant that forced a country to imagine a third way. High Times has always known that cannabis is more than smoke and mirrors. It's culture, it's politics, it's survival. And right now, it might just be the lifeline that American democracy needs. The Democrats and Republicans will keep trying to puff past the blame, but the people are already sparking something different. You can feel it in the dispensaries, in state houses, in fields where hemp is replacing dying industries. You can feel it every time a joint gets passed between strangers who suddenly aren't strangers anymore. The blunt truth is that cannabis won't just get America high. It might actually make America free.
That's a good line right there.
Mm.
I love that one right there. Oh, so
Oh.
good. Such a good article. I'm so glad they're back. Good journalism again.
Yes.
It's great. Ms. Weedman's going to read another one from High Times, too. It's
Mhm.
pretty special. International news, though. Uruguay, which I would love to live there, just dropped a power move. CBD is being added to its national therapeutic, formally meaning it could be part of its healthcare system. The Ministry of Public Health and Cannabis Regulatory, the IRCCA, laid out a 5-year strategic plan to expand patient access, train medical pros, and overhaul adult use rules to undercut the black market. This ain't just regulation for show. It's about leveling access for folks now stuck in private markets or imports. Uruguay continues blazing trails in the cannabis policy game. Yeah, they are. Always remember the first. Number uno can only be one. Can only be one. And Uruguay was the one. Vietnamese fishermen near Ho Chi Minh City hauled in an unexpected catch, 4 bags and suitcase floating in the water containing 81 kilograms of cannabis flower. They promptly turned the stash into the Bin Chau border guard. The origin? Still a mystery. Those waterways aren't known for drug smuggling. In Vietnam, any weird possession, use, or trafficking is illegal. Penalties range from heavy fines to years in prison. Check this out. Police found a royal-sized cannabis grow near King Charles Highgrove House in Tetbury, Gloucestershire. 2 officers on patrol stumbled into a full-blown factory with 225 plants and some makeshift living quarters. The grow was so massive they ran out of evidence bags and had to use the suspects' duvet covers to haul the weed. Sorry, you can't make this up. Cops joked they'd return the bedding if the growers wanted it back. Even the king, all hail the king's neighborhood ain't safe from that sticky green hustle, huh? Guess the Royals heir's getting a little extra herbal lately. I think King Charles would be pissed because we read that he was smoking weed for he had cancer and he wanted to learn how to grow weed. Remember we read that?
Yeah.
That might have been his grow.
That could have been.
Because I looked at some pictures of the grow that the cops took. There was some nice fucking flower.
Yeah.
That was like, for the king.
I wonder where he got his genetics from. I mean, who got to be that person?
I know, right?
Right. Did he have his people find the magic seed?
Well, that was some nice weed. So if it's next to king, I'd be like, finders weepers loses reapers, or finders reapers loses weepers, something. Something like that. Finders keepers
Losers
weepers.
weepers. But I think finders keepers, I'm the reaper. Or something like that. Like there's something to be said.
Yeah.
Because that would be quite a gain.
Yeah. Morocco just leveled up its ANRAC agency, inked agreements with 5 medical associations, neurology, gastro, derm, internal geriatrics, to build a regulated clinical pathway for cannabis-derived meds. Prescription CBD and related compounds will be subject to strict dosages rules and eligibility. It's not weed for all, but it's a bold step towards scientific legalized medical cannabis in North Africa. Kingdoms playing chess, not checkers. Heads up, Canada fam. Some cannabis products are being recalled after tests found THC levels way too high. Regulators say the batches overshot labeling specs, poising to risk overconsumption. Distributors and dispensaries are pulling the goods. Consumers double-check your packaging. Ontario police just raided an illicit cannabis ring in Tidinga, Mohawk land. Sorry if I butchered that. Seizing a massive stash worth $122 million. $122 million. They nabbed over 72,000 plants, firearms, ammo, and shut down water diversion schemes to tie to environmental damages. 10 suspects now face charges. This one's serious blow to organized green crime. $122 million. I'd be one pissed off grower.
Yeah, right.
Germany's EKOCAN interim reports find only modest shifts. Adult cannabis use is up slightly, use is stabilizing or declining, and health impacts are limited. But politics are heating up. Conservatives want to roll it back, while pro-reform parties say this validates legalization. The political tug of war over Germany's Green Road has only just begun. All right, Mrs. Weedman,
Yep.
tell us about this is good.
This is
It's
good.
High Times Magazine
Mhm.
celebrates 50 years with a new owner, new editor-in-chief, return of the Cannabis Cup, and print issues.
Yep.
Exciting news. Tell us about it.
Yep.
And congratulations, High Times.
Yes.
I've been reading you
Welcome
for a
back.
long time.
High Times, the iconic voice in cannabis culture, psychedelics, advocacy, and industry insight, proudly announces the release of its limited edition collectible 50th anniversary issue, the appointment of award-winning journalist Javier Haas as its new editor-in-chief, and the long-awaited return of the Cannabis Cup. Together, these milestones mark 5 decades of cannabis journalism, culture, and community, while heralding a new era. Founded in 1974, High Times became the voice of a movement, spotlighting underground growers, counterculture icons, and the fight for legalization. After ceasing production in recent years, the magazine now returns, shepherded by new leadership that aims to honor the magazine's original spirit. Back in the 80s, I bought my first copy of High Times and I hid it under my jacket just to get it in the house. The moment I opened those pages, I stepped into another world, free, creative, rebellious, alive. It changed me, said Josh Kesselman, publisher of High Times and founding force behind Raw Rolling Papers. He's actually a really cool guy.
You've
I
always
really,
said that,
yeah. He, like, if you follow him on Instagram, he's pretty stand up. To help bring this magazine back to life 50 years later feels surreal. This isn't about profits. And this really is. He's very philanthropic. It's about giving back to the community that raised me and cutting through the controversy to share the truth about this plant. Together, we will expand human consciousness, and Javier Haas is the perfect person to carry this legacy forward. Haas said, "I'm excited to lead the revival of High Times as a platform for creative, fearless journalism, while opening the door to new generations and amplifying diverse voices from around the world." The 50th anniversary issue of High Times features archival works from Charles Bukowski, Truman Capote, Andy Warhol, Blondie, and William Burroughs, and interviews with Hunter S. Thompson, Bob Marley, the Dalai Lama, among others, alongside fresh reporting from journalists from around the world, whose work will be given a home for evolving discourse. The limited run 50th anniversary issue is available only while supplies last at select retailers, dispensaries, and via subscription at hightimes.com. For information on the High Times Cannabis Cup 2025, visit cannabiscup.com/New York 2025. Very
Congratulations.
cool. Yeah, it's exciting.
I'm bringing it back.
Yeah, I want to buy a print copy.
Hurry up and find it before they're out.
I know.
Some sad news. I hate to end the show on some sad news, but it's going to end in a positive at the end. The world's mourning a legend. Jane Goodall died at age 91, sparking global tributes to the conservationist giant. From world leaders to grassroots activists, folks are celebrating her legacy in primatology, a voice for animals, and her fight for our planet. Jane Goodall work changed how we see nature and how nature sees us. If you didn't watch her HBO specials like I did growing up, she was so gentle. She was, just an amazing, amazing woman. Her accomplishments, lived to 91, kind of like Attenborough too. He's like almost 100 now too. The two of them have just filled my heart with just such goodness of learning about animals and
kindness.
Yes, and just
gentle. They're both like such gentle people.
Just such good-hearted people, and just as they're just like she said, like this said at the end. Jane Goodall changed how we see nature and how nature sees us. Just that line right there says it all about her life. So rest in power, rest in love, rest in peace, Jane Goodall. Go, hopefully you find some of your friends up there and have a great time. We'll see you soon. Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
That's the end of the show.
That is.
You got anything else to say?
Everybody, have a fantastic week. And don't forget to enjoy some weed.
There it is. That's a good one right there, Mrs. Weedman. Everybody out there in the road, we love you. We love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the support. Thank you for just being you. We love you. Go live some life for a while. We have some fucking fun. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.